Hello my loves, how are you all today? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name
Under the blinding lights of Fashion Week, cameras flash like lightning, and for a moment, time stands still. She doesn't just wear clothes, she tells stories through them. Every movement, every look, every silence becomes part of her legend. But behind every perfect pose lies a storm of doubt, pressure, and pain. They call her a fashion icon, a symbol of beauty, confidence, and power. Yet few know the cost of holding that crown. When the world demands perfection, how much of yourself do you have to lose to stay adored? How do you keep your identity when your image belongs to millions? This is the story of someone who turned style into rebellion, elegance into survival, and fame into self-definition. A story not about fashion, but about the soul beneath the spotlight. Because in the world of beauty, it's not the fabric that defines the person. It's the courage to wear your truth. Long before the red carpets and magazine covers, there was a small room, cluttered, quiet, and full of dreams. She wasn't born into luxury. Her world was stitched together from the simplest things: second-hand clothes, imagination, and the endless rhythm of music and color. As a child, she didn't fit in. While others tried to blend, she stood out. Not because she wanted attention, but because she couldn't help it. Her mind painted the world differently. Where others saw rules, she saw patterns waiting to be broken. Her parents, often unsure of what to make of her defiance, learned to watch in silence as she transformed old curtains into dresses, or painted her sneakers gold just to feel alive. Some called it strange. She called it freedom. There were days of struggle, bills unpaid, dreams too expensive, and a sense that the world outside their window was meant for someone else. But even then, fashion became her language. It wasn't about glamour. It was about identity, a way to say, I exist, and I'm not afraid to be seen. And while the world didn't know her name yet, destiny was already designing her path, thread by thread, heartbreak by heartbreak, moment by moment. Because sometimes, the greatest icons are born not in palaces, but in the quiet chaos of a dreamer's bedroom. Every icon begins as an outsider. In those early years, she walked into rooms where no one believed she belonged. Casting agents looked her up and down. Too bold, too quiet, too different. Fashion editors smiled politely, then turned away. She didn't have connections. She had conviction. Armed with thrift store outfits and raw confidence, she built herself piece by piece, audition by audition, rejection by rejection. Each no became a stitch in the armor she would one day wear proudly. There were nights she cried into her pillow, wondering if she was chasing an illusion, a dream too loud for a girl like her. But every morning she woke up, looked in the mirror, and said, "If I can't find a place in their world, I'll build my own." Then came the moment that changed everything. A single performance, a photo shoot, a red carpet where the world finally saw her. Not as a follower, but as a force. Her look was unlike anything else, fearless, unpredictable, magnetic. Stylists called it chaos. Critics called it genius. She didn't just wear the outfit, she owned it. In that instant, a new language of style was born. What others viewed as rebellion was, for her, survival. A declaration that creativity was her only weapon in a world built to silence difference. And while the spotlight was just beginning to turn her way, deep down she knew this was only the first act. The world had finally opened its doors, but she was already planning to break the walls. Fame didn't arrive like a whisper. It crashed in like a storm. One moment she was a name in the background, and the next, the world couldn't stop saying it. Her photos covered magazine stands from New York to Paris. Fashion houses fought to dress her. Designers whispered her name in backstage corridors. She understands the art, but it wasn't just the clothes. It was the presence, the way she stood still while the world spun around her, the way she made simplicity look rebellious and extravagance feel like truth. She blurred the line between celebrity and muse, between performance and authenticity. On every red carpet, she was rewriting the rules, daring to wear what others feared, turning criticism into applause. And every time the camera flashed, it captured more than fabric. It captured evolution. She became a movement. Teenagers copied her outfits. Designers shaped collections around her silhouette. Social media called her the future of fashion. But fame is never a one-way street. With every headline came expectation. With every look came judgment. The world that once ignored her now watched her every breath, waiting for her to stumble, to fade, to break. Still, she moved forward, unshaken. Because deep down she knew this wasn't about being admired. It was about being seen. And as her influence spread across catwalks, screens, and hearts, she wasn't just a star anymore. She was a symbol of courage, of reinvention, of what happens when a girl who once dreamed in the dark learns how to make the light her own. At first it looked like everything she ever dreamed of. The lights, the applause, the front row seats at every show. But somewhere between the cameras and the chaos, something cracked. The same media that once praised her now picked her apart. Outfit by outfit, word by word. One wrong expression, one misunderstood quote, and headlines screamed, "The icon has fallen." The world forgot she was human. They saw her as an image, not a person. Her identity, once her greatest weapon, became her greatest burden. Rumors swirled. Was she difficult to work with? Was she losing control? They wrote stories not about her art, but about her attitude. Behind closed doors, the glamour faded. Sleep disappeared. Confidence turned to doubt. Every reflection in the mirror asked the same haunting question. Who am I when I'm not perfect? She tried to keep smiling, to wear strength like another accessory. But fame doesn't forgive exhaustion, and soon even she couldn't recognize the woman beneath the makeup. For the first time, the girl who once built herself from nothing began to unravel under everything she'd built. And when the storm finally hit, a public breakdown, a career misstep, a scandal that wouldn't fade, she disappeared. The lights dimmed. The world moved on, and in the silence that followed, all that remained was the echo of her own heartbeat. And the question that would define her next chapter: can you find yourself again after the world decides who you are? For a while she vanished. No red carpets, no front row seats, no designer gowns, just silence. The kind of silence that either destroys you or saves you. It was in that quiet that she began to rebuild. Not her image, but herself. She stopped chasing perfection and started chasing peace. For the first time she asked, what if I didn't need to impress anyone anymore? Gone were the masks. Gone were the people who only loved her reflection. What remained was something raw, unpolished, and real. She began to speak openly about burnout, about self-doubt, about the loneliness behind fame. And suddenly the world listened again. Not because of what she wore, but because of what she said. When she finally returned to the spotlight, she was different. Her style was simpler, but her presence stronger than ever. Each look now carried meaning. Each appearance whispered, "This is me." No filter, no apology. The industry that once defined her now followed her lead. Young artists called her an example of resilience. Designers saw her not as a mannequin, but as a muse reborn. She didn't reclaim fame. She redefined it. And in doing so, she taught the world that authenticity is the boldest outfit you can wear. Because sometimes reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Every era has its icons, but few redefine what an era means. She didn't just wear fashion, she translated it. Her style became a language, one that spoke of courage, identity, and the freedom to be unapologetically different. Designers still reference her looks in mood boards and runway collections. Photographers chase the lighting that once framed her face. Young artists whisper her name as proof that art can still have a heartbeat. But her legacy isn't just stitched into fabrics. It's woven into the culture itself. She opened doors for voices that once went unheard. She made it possible for people to see beauty in difference, strength in vulnerability, and art in imperfection. Fashion critics call her the bridge between rebellion and elegance. Activists call her a mirror of change. To millions, she became something deeper. A reminder that style isn't about fitting in, but standing out. Even now, years after the flashbulbs dim, her influence lingers in the color of a jacket, the boldness of a pose, the quiet confidence of a girl daring to be seen. Because some people wear fashion, but a true icon? She becomes it. Fame once felt like oxygen. Addictive, essential, impossible to live without. But time has a way of teaching what truly matters. She learned that success isn't about how many people watch you rise, but about who still stands with you when you fall. She learned that style fades, but kindness never does. In quiet mornings, far from the cameras, she finds peace in small things. The warmth of coffee, the sound of rain, the joy of anonymity. She writes, paints, travels, not to be seen, but to feel alive again. She gives back, mentoring young artists, supporting causes that remind her of where she came from. Her voice, once used to command attention, now speaks softly, yet carries far more power. When asked what she would tell her younger self, she smiles. Don't chase approval, chase truth. You'll never lose yourself in it. She no longer fears fading from the spotlight, because she understands something far greater. That legacy isn't built by fame, but by the moments of honesty that outlast it. And maybe that's the ultimate art form, to live a life that doesn't need a filter to shine. In the end, the lights always fade. The music stops, the applause quiets, but what remains is truth. She taught the world that beauty isn't about symmetry, it's about soul. That style isn't a costume, it's courage. And that perfection isn't the goal. It's the illusion we must learn to let go. Her journey, from a restless dreamer to a global icon, was never about clothes or fame. It was about the fight to stay human in a world obsessed with image, and maybe that's what makes her unforgettable. Because she didn't just redefine fashion, she redefined what it means to be real. So when you see the next red carpet, the next flawless photo, remember, behind every shine, there's a story of someone who dared to be imperfect, and in doing so, became timeless.